Ferrari just dropped the fastest lap of Bahrain testing. A 1 minute 34 that stunned the paddock. 0 to 200 km per hour quicker than Red Bull. Explosive acceleration. Aggressive energy deployment. And Lewis Hamilton behind the wheel of a car that looks like a rocket. But here is the shocking part. The same data that proves Ferrari might have the fastest car on the grid also reveals a dangerous weakness. Battery clipping at the end of straights. Rear instability in high-speed corners. A thermal shutdown that stopped Hamilton mid-run. This is not just testing hype. This is raw telemetry. Over 400 laps of data. Aggressive hybrid maps. Software glitches in active aero. And a car operating at the absolute limit of cooling efficiency. Ferrari may have built the sharpest weapon in Formula 1. But is it too sharp to survive a full race distance? Stay with me, because once you see what Hamilton experienced inside the SF-26, you will understand why this season could be decided between pure speed and pure reliability. The headline lap grabbed attention. But day one told a deeper story. Ferrari did not arrive in Bahrain cautiously. They arrived aggressive. From the very first runs, the SF-26 looked sharp on corner entry. Under braking, the car stayed incredibly flat. That comes from the new push rod front suspension geometry. It reduces dive under heavy braking, which means the aerodynamic platform stays stable. And when the platform is stable, the floor generates consistent load. That is why Ferrari looked so strong attacking turn 1. Late braking. Minimal front lock. Clean rotation. But that same stiffness created a trade-off. The rigidity transfers more load directly into the front tires. In cooler conditions, that caused occasional graining. Especially for Hamilton. And this is where the data begins to split between the two drivers. Charles Leclerc adapted almost immediately. His style favors a loose rear. He rotates the car aggressively and manages slip with precision. The nervous rear of the SF-26 actually suits him. He can exploit it over one lap. Hamilton, however, prefers a car that builds confidence progressively. Stable rear. Predictable throttle application. Smooth energy delivery. Instead, he encountered aggressive torque spikes combined with rear instability in faster sections. And when crosswinds hit the new V-shaped diffuser design, the rear became even more unpredictable. That unpredictability matters. Because over a single qualifying lap, you can live with it. Over a race stint, it becomes exhausting. Now let's talk about straight-line performance. The acceleration data was stunning. The SF-26 launched harder from 0 to 200 km per hour than Red Bull. That aggressive electric deployment map gave Ferrari a visible edge in the first half of the straight. But then came the clipping. The battery depleted before reaching the braking zone, which meant the last portion of the straight lacked electrical boost. That sudden drop changes the rhythm of overtaking. It also changes defensive strategy. If the car behind maintains deployment longer, you become vulnerable. Hamilton felt that directly. And he was honest about it. He described the car as fun but complex. Fun means fast. Complex means difficult to master. And this complexity is amplified by the compact packaging Ferrari chose. The side pods are extremely tight, optimized for aerodynamic efficiency. But on day 3, during a race simulation in high midday temperatures, the system shut down. Ferrari officially called it a combustion anomaly. But technical sources pointed toward thermal protection kicking in. When temperatures exceeded safe thresholds, the car protected itself. That cost Ferrari valuable long-run data. They were forced to open emergency cooling exits afterward, which sacrifices aerodynamic efficiency. That moment revealed the paradox. Ferrari has raw pace, possibly the fastest one-lap package in the field, but it operates extremely close to thermal limits. And operating at the edge means small errors have big consequences. By the end of day 3, Ferrari had completed 423 laps. Respectable mileage, but not class-leading. And the interrupted race simulation means they lack full data on late stint degradation. That gap in information could be costly in the opening race. So what did Bahrain truly reveal? It revealed that Ferrari built a car capable of pole position, possibly multiple poles. It also revealed that Hamilton and Leclerc experienced the car differently. One sees explosive potential. The other feels instability that must be controlled. And inside Ferrari, that dynamic is critical. Do they smooth the rear and help Hamilton build consistency? Or keep the car sharp and maximize Leclerc's qualifying advantage? That decision shapes development direction. And early direction shapes championships. The SF-26 is not a conservative evolution. It is a calculated risk. Brilliant. Aggressive. Operating at the edge. And Hamilton's Bahrain data makes one thing clear. If Ferrari can manage the heat, smooth the energy curve, and stabilize the rear under crosswinds, they can challenge immediately. If not, the same aggression that produced that headline lap may become their greatest vulnerability. And that is why Bahrain was not just about speed. It was about limits. And Ferrari are dancing very close to theirs. But the most revealing part of Bahrain was not the shutdown. It was what happened after it. Ferrari did not panic publicly. They did not change the narrative. Fred Vasseur stepped forward and framed the issue as part of pushing limits. He emphasized that the power unit used had already accumulated mileage from previous runs. He insisted it was better to expose weaknesses now than in the first Grand Prix. On the surface, that sounds controlled, strategic. But inside Formula One, everyone understands what a thermal shutdown during a race simulation means. It means the margin is small. Very small. And when margins are small, race weekends become high-pressure environments. Now think about the aerodynamic philosophy Ferrari has chosen. The compact side pod design. The extreme packaging. The synchronized active aero system that appears to stall both front and rear wings on the straights. It is brilliant. When it works. Because reducing drag that aggressively explains their straight-line gains. But early in the test, there were software glitches. Sudden balance shifts in high-speed corners. Drivers felt it immediately. A car that suddenly changes aerodynamic balance mid-corner destroys confidence. By day 3, Ferrari seemed to smooth that behavior. But smoothing in testing and surviving in race traffic are two very different challenges. Now consider race pace versus qualifying pace. Ferrari's one-lap speed may be unmatched. But long-run consistency still trails slightly behind Red Bull. Tire degradation on rear compounds remains a concern. And Hamilton's interrupted race simulation leaves Ferrari without full hard compound data. That missing information could be critical in strategic calls. Because in modern Formula One, strategy is data-driven. And data gaps create uncertainty. Then there is the internal dynamic. Two world-class drivers. Two distinct preferences. Leclerc thrives on a nervous rear. Hamilton wants stability and progression. Ferrari cannot perfectly satisfy both without compromise. If they calm the rear to help Hamilton, they risk losing that explosive rotation advantage Leclerc exploits. If they keep the car sharp, Hamilton may struggle in race conditions. And that tension does not disappear quietly. It influences development direction, setup philosophy, even upgrade priorities. This is why the Bahrain test was not simply fast laps and one breakdown. It was a glimpse into Ferrari's strategic crossroads. On pure pace, they have built something special. Perhaps the only machine capable of taking pole away from Red Bull. But championships are not won on Saturday alone. They are won on Sunday. Through reliability. Through tire management. Through composure under pressure. Right now, the SF-26 looks like a blade. Sharp. Precise. Capable of cutting through the field. But blades must be handled carefully. One miscalculation. One overheating spike. One misjudged energy map. And the advantage disappears. Lewis Hamilton's data from Bahrain reveals something crucial. This car has enormous potential. But it demands perfection. And perfection across a 24-race season is unforgiving. So as we approach the first race, the real question is not whether Ferrari can be fast. We already know they can. The real question is whether they can be fast without braking. Because if they solve the thermal ceiling, smooth the energy curve, and stabilize the rear under pressure, they become immediate championship contenders. If they do not, that stunning 1:34 lap becomes a reminder of what could have been. And in Formula One, potential without execution is the most painful outcome of all. And this is where the Bahrain story becomes even more intense. Because what Ferrari showed was not balance. It was contrast. On one side, you have breathtaking single-lap performance. A car capable of producing the fastest time of the entire test. On the other, you have a machine that shut itself down in race simulation heat. That duality defines the SF-26. Now let's look deeper at Hamilton's adaptation curve. Across the 3 days, his feedback evolved. Early sessions were about understanding rear instability. Mid-test, the focus shifted to energy delivery smoothness. By the final day, it became about managing temperature windows. That progression tells you something important. Ferrari are operating within extremely tight performance margins. When everything is aligned, the car is spectacular. When conditions shift slightly, it becomes difficult. And Formula One rarely offers perfect conditions. Wind changes. Track temperature fluctuates. Traffic alters cooling airflow. All of that can push a compact design beyond its ideal window. Now imagine race day in hotter climates. Imagine following another car closely for multiple laps. Cooling airflow reduces. Rear tires heat up. Battery temperatures rise. The aggressive energy map that delivers stunning acceleration suddenly becomes a liability. That is the knife-edge Ferrari are walking. But here is the twist. Hamilton does not look discouraged. He looks engaged. His body language in Bahrain was not that of a driver trapped in frustration. It was the posture of someone who sees genuine potential. He understands that if the rear can be stabilized slightly, if the energy map becomes more progressive, if the thermal ceiling is raised just enough, this car can win immediately. And that belief matters. Because Ferrari's biggest weakness in recent years has not been speed. It has been execution, operational clarity, internal alignment. Now they have raw performance. The question is whether they can control it. Meanwhile, Leclerc senses opportunity. He knows this type of car suits his style. Loose rear, aggressive rotation, high risk, high reward. But over a championship, high risk becomes exhausting. One reliability failure in the opening race could trigger doubt. And doubt spreads quickly in Maranello. That psychological fragility has defined past seasons. So Bahrain becomes more than testing. It becomes a preview of Ferrari's character. Are they prepared to manage a car that lives at the limit? Or will they be forced to dial it back and sacrifice that explosive advantage? Because if they soften the platform too much to protect reliability, Red Bull's consistency becomes overwhelming. If they keep pushing the edge, mechanical stress increases. And in a 24-race calendar, stress accumulates. So here we are. Ferrari have built a car capable of pole position. Possibly multiple poles. Hamilton has data proving the speed is real. But that same data exposes fragility, thermal sensitivity, energy clipping, rear unpredictability. And that is why the first race will feel like more than a season opener. It will feel like a stress test. If the SF-26 survives a full race distance without overheating. If Hamilton completes a clean long run under pressure. If Leclerc converts raw pace into controlled victory. Then Ferrari announce themselves as genuine title contenders. If not, Bahrain will be remembered as the moment they revealed both their brilliance and their vulnerability.